Hello and welcome to take one of vlog number 4, which is the first one that I'm pre-recording for next week. Getting on top of my game. I'm here in this very cool basement where it says, "Kiss your future," seems a little bit unrelated from the rest, "to flawlessly blur the lines between work and play." Is that something we want? That's a prompt that I wanted to throw in the room. Do you think that's something desirable? And what are the arguments in favor and against? I don't really want to position myself right now, so I'm just going to talk about those. And I'm also just going to talk generally about going through life, growing up and growing, and things like mentoring and coaching, just whatever thoughts come to mind. I'm improvising this one. Well, all of them. Since this is take 1, here we go. Yeah, burnout is a thing. And one of the things that I've heard and read, oh wow, the lights turn out in here, okay, that contribute the most to burnout happening is when you don't have a clear separation between work and non-work. I talked last time though about my personal approach to work on projects and how I like to have a wide range of things that I can do, that I enjoy doing, but I define as productive and aligned to my life goals. So for me personally, that in itself already blurs the line. But what someone said yesterday when we talked about the topic of burnout is another very important factor that actually is the tipping point at the end between like mild degrees and actual burnout is having the feeling that you have no control or voice as to the tasks that you're carrying out, the work that you're doing. So I guess maybe in my case, the reason why everything is fun and I can have this feeling like I'm constantly working and don't really need a break from it is because the work that I'm talking about is completely self-imposed and determined and very, very free and creative. It's my passion projects. When it comes to work that I'm given, that I have to do because someone else says so, that can often be a different story. And as I've said a few times, I do believe I have developed a resilience that is above average, and so that's usually also not a problem. But I have experienced burnout, and it happened exactly like that. It was the first example that comes to mind was a working student job with a great company, great team. I really loved the work, but there was no Feierabend, as we say in German. There was no cutoff between this is the end of the working day and now I'm free and I'm not, accessible. You can't contact me, not available for work. So you can really switch off and recover. And we didn't really have that because we were working with clients and there was a lot of time pressure. All the students were very involved. We had a lot of responsibility. And so, yeah, it would often be the case that our boss would message us saying, we have to hop on a call tomorrow, sometimes even the same evening. And then, of course, you can't make any plans. You can't relax. You get the feeling that this stress is just on your shoulders 24/7. And it's not self-imposed, not self-determined. So, yeah, if we were to assume that that is a future that we want, how could that, what could that look like? Is there a way that everyone can do work that they define themselves and they have a lot of autonomy over? Because we're used to these hierarchical structures where orders come from the top and it's kind of military-like, except in very small teams. And of course, there are thresholds where you can relate to each other and coordinate all tasks and decisions as a small group of friends or a family would, or a really tiny tribe. So there's a lot of body language and things just happening very quickly that can't really take place when you exceed a certain number. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I would say something like maybe 15 people, and then it starts to get messy. So of course, a huge corporation can't work that way. So how can we redefine the ways we do things so that employees at every level still have this feeling of autonomy. And that's where I really look up to companies like Google, who, think of them what you may, at least put a lot of effort and thought into how to create more inspiring work. Whether that's for the purpose of productivity or employee happiness. And often it's both, because they're very correlated. And if you're self-employed, of course there's going to be stuff you have to do that you don't like, I assume. I feel like for me personally, just the whole concept of creating something that is your own is so exciting that even the parts that I probably won't enjoy in the long run are still somehow enjoyable, as long as I keep in mind what it's for. So that's also a big thing that each individual can do for their own mindset and well-being. But I really like that they use the word play, because play is so important. I remember talking to this really awesome person who I wanted to do a podcast with, and we never did. Maybe we can still find the time. And he mentioned some study, I think, or a documentary or something, where they said, I hope this is not a case of Chinese whispers, that he told me what he remembered and I'm saying what I remembered and now it's completely wrong. But yeah, the thing was that puppies across the species of dog and bear, so bear cubs and dog puppies, have this universal sign for I want to play now. And he said it was something like raising a paw. And so even in a situation where maybe they would meet in the forest and it's initially hostile and there's a risk that the bears would attack the dogs, in which case they would totally overpower them and the dogs have no chance. If the dog gives the signal, I want to play, then they just start rolling around and having a great time. And I thought that was incredible, because it shows that play is universal in nature. And of course, there's a lot of things that have shown as well just how important it is in humans, in many aspects of life, like work as well. Creativity, having a good relationship. Oh yeah, the book that I'm listening to again, The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work, from the Gottmans, basically says your partner has to be your best friend. And one of the things that saves a lot of couples, or is the foundation for a really, really good relationship, is being able to dissolve tension by laughing and just finding a way to turn it around and make it playful. So yeah, if there is a takeaway, if there is anything you take away from if there is only one thing you take away from this video, I feel like I'm going to be saying that every week, then let it be, have more play in your life. Yeah, and I didn't get around to the other half, typically, of what I said that I would talk about. But I guess it's very much in line, that I'm here standing talking to you about work and play, and corporations and stuff, even though I'm only 27. And what I'm getting at is we're all on this constant development journey, and I think it's really important to receive advice from everyone you can, and also try to give advice even before you feel ready. Even if you feel like if you have no idea, you don't know what you're talking about. I mean, don't just bluff it, don't just say random crap just to try to appear a certain way, but try to actually create, say things that are valuable. Yeah, come up with ideas and information and a way to present it that can help someone else who was in your shoes, maybe a few years ago, maybe a few days ago. Because if we all take this approach of helping the person behind on our timeline and looking for advice from the person in front of us in our timeline, then we just all move along a lot quicker and can have a lot more fun while at it. There we go. Turned out pretty well. I'm pretty breathless because I'm coming from the sauna and sleep deprived as usual, so my cardiovascular is like, oh my god, what's happening? But yeah, I hope that was helpful. Leave your feedback as usual. Help me grow my reach with the usual algorithm things. Share this with your friends. Let's talk about it. And I'll see you in the next one.